Wow, what a great vacation on the planet Maui 3. I was attacked by a light creature and came here to recover. You see, I work for the government, and I'm required to relax after any job-related injury or incident. Spending time on this planet reminded me of universal history, and how my job is vital to the stability of galactic peace. In fact, keeping that peace runs in the family. The Hawaiian colonies are beautiful. The first one was discovered about 260 years ago and given to the Hawaiian people to colonize. The Hawaiians inherited these worlds due to mistreatment by their government in the early part of the 21st century. The story goes something like this. A certain president overheard an intercepted telephone conversation, as they were called, between two native Hawaiians. This led to all Hawaiians being labeled as military combatants, and all Hawaiians were deported to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, without trial. Since there were too many Hawaiians to fit into the prison, the U.S. invaded Cuba, and the Cubans were asked to move to Miami. Many did so gladly because half their families were living there. By the way, in 2007, Middle East peace was established, and the Miami Jewish population moved to Israel, and this meant plenty of room for the Cuban population. These were wonderful times. However, the poor people of the earth, about 97% of the population, might have disagreed. Well, to make a long story short, the Republicans and the Democrats, the political party at the time, formed a one-party government. This was necessary since the people in the United States were fed up with both parties and they couldn't decide who to vote for. From hence they were called the Cooperative of Reformed Organized Politicians Team, and better known by their acronym, CORRUPT. Things really didn't change much for the American people. They were forced to vote the only corrupt party into office. Under the updated Patriot Act, the government was moved from Washington, D.C. for safety reasons. And the corrupt leaders thought, Hawaii. Once the government relocated, they thought about history, and the issue of safety came up again. Thus, a surprise attack on Japan. Well, the only surprise was that most younger Japanese thought that they were Americans. Thus, Japan became the 53rd state, Cuba the 52nd, and Washington, D.C. became the smallest state, the 51st. The politicians neglected to think about the volcanic forces that lay beneath them, and on the evening of the State of the Union, the Hawaiian Islands exploded in what was described as a supervolcano. This was the turning point in history. The superpower was no more. The Japanese came up with a solution, and needless to say, this solution was extremely efficient. Science, medicine, politics changed worldwide, and was based on this Japanese innovation. Soon, space travel became routine, and within a decade, mankind was able to travel faster than light. New worlds were discovered, and humans who were badly mistreated, like the Hawaiians, were given the chance to colonize first. Other worlds were discovered. Each planet that resembled a particular nation would be given to that nation. Within time, the French, Russian, German, and all the other nations colonized their own worlds, and these worlds comprised the United Planets government. Well, the Native Americans decided to stay on Earth, and since all Earth's inhabitants had left, the whole planet was theirs. Now Earth is the gambling capital of the galaxy, which brings me to my job. I'm a tax collector, and my mission is to collect taxes. It's a somewhat dangerous job, but it pays quite well. And it's not dangerous because tax collectors are hated. It's dangerous because of the incidents that happened to me in space. For instance, last week. All in all, the universe is a much more peaceful place. There's very little corruption or racism. Now the universe is filled with only two types of beings, good ones and astronauts. By the way, I got that light being out of my head and I shot him off to Aromia. That's where my brother lives. He's a florist. And he reports that Lighty has taken to the plant Erbia. The pollen is the only dangerous part of the plant. And Lighty's convinced all of his friends to come to Aromia, where they eat the pollen. My brother is pleased since they can cross-pollinate. And this brings me back to my job. I'm a tax collector, and tax collectors are loved. I give Erbia in exchange for the taxes I collect. The Native Americans use it in their peace pipes to smoke. It's harmless, and I collect the peace pipes to distribute to all the other worlds. Everyone does it, and Erbia is believed to be the reason for peace in the galaxy. As I mentioned, there are only two types of beings, good ones and jackasses. Well, come to find out that those jackasses are allergic to Erbia. Hence, they're not seeing the world through rose-colored glasses like the rest of us. Well, that's all the time I have this week. Next week I'll be traveling to New Paris. Until then, live long and prosper.